Hello everybody, it's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool stream/video, and today's going to be really exciting because we're going to be hitting into an advanced building video or stream, whichever. If you're here live, that's awesome. If not, then if you're watching it afterwards, then awesome as well. So what we're going to be doing in Planet Coaster today is actually going to be building I'm going to be trying to build a haunted mansion with the most advanced way I can. So, we're just going to go open a sandbox. We're just going to go, let's go grassland. Grassland works perfectly fine for me, and it's going to be really awesome. So, pretty much what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be taking parts, and we're going to be doing pretty much more advanced work in a way, you know, think of a way kind of like what Silverette does when he builds buildings and stuff like that. If you've never seen Silverette, make sure you check him out. He is the king of Planet Coaster, as a lot of them would call him. But anyways, seriously, check him out. But what we're going to be doing is try to do a lot of advanced buildings, and what I'm going to do is actually try and create something. I got a picture up here of what I wanted to create, and what in my current park that I'm working on, I'm actually planning on making a haunted mansion. So I thought I'd get into a little bit more practice of how I'm going to be doing it, because I wanted to make this thing look fantastic. So what we're going to be doing is pretty much practicing of what I'm going to be doing. So this is kind of a practice run for me. So this is kind of what I'm looking at right now. Is something like this. I want to maybe go something a little bit more symmetrical, but I like the look and eeriness of this building right here, and we're going to be using it a little bit as a guide. So that's kind of going to be our first thing that we're going to be doing. So as you can see, there's gravestones and stuff like that around. We're going to make sure that we're going to be doing working on that very well. So I'm going to be doing my best. So what we're going to be doing, whoops. All right, now we're ready to get going. So what I'm going to be doing first is, obviously, I think we need to work on maybe making a foundation for this thing. I'm not entirely sure how large it's going to be just yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to be thinking through each and every element of this thing. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be taking, let's just use rough concrete for right now. We're going to be making kind of the foundation of this mansion is what we're going to be focused on here. So I'm going to get my picture up here and ready, and on key moments I might show that off just a little bit. So I've watched a couple tutorials for Planet Coaster through Silverette himself, and I'm pretty excited of trying to move on to the next level of building in my Planet Coaster career, as I'll call it, because I want to someday be as good as him, and to do that, you're going to have to practice on buildings, and that's what I'm doing today. So we're going to do a lot of advanced stuff, or at least try and do some advanced stuff here. Alright, so I'm going to raise this up, make it about 3 blocks to get started. We'll probably end up making this a little bit bigger, and I know I can probably just copy and paste the foundation rather than place each and every one individually like I am currently right now, because that's counterproductive. Alright, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 blocks right now. In fact, I think I want to make one more to make it even to 8. Actually, no, I don't. I actually wanted to delete those blocks because I want to make sure, or I'm going to do this from the center. Again, I'm going to do something a little bit more symmetrical. And yeah, so let's see. It's actually got some, if we go to wall pieces here, we're going to create this little stairway that leads to the front deck, or dock, or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to find the smooth concrete here, or rough concrete rather, and we're going to match this up with this, because that actually matches pretty well, to be honest. And what we're going to have to do here is actually create some staircases, a staircase walking up, to the flat spot. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to find a spot or a good texture here that will actually work very well for our flight of stairs. Let's see what we have here. And you can use literally anything. So we can use like smooth concrete, rough concrete, but these are actually on the grid, so we actually don't want to use those. We want to use something off grid, something a little more along the lines of something like this maybe. So I'm going to press X. We're going to use the advanced move tool. And this actually has a lot of steps on it. And also a good idea to, while you're building, is to actually take, let's see, I'm going to go to scenery here real quick. Take like an animatronic of anybody, like even this little bandit, and you can kind of get an estimation of how big a person is compared to what you're building, so you can actually put that into account. So I'm actually going to take this, and we're going to move it out just a little bit. I'm going to make the steps just a tad bit larger. So what we're going to be doing, and if you do Control X, you can actually duplicate what you just made. So that's actually very helpful. And I want to get this as even as possible. So I'm going to do Control X once again. And we're really pretty much just going to eyeball this as best as we can. As you can see, there's a little bit of fighting textures in there, but we're going to live with that for right now. But looking pretty good. Control X again. Probably a better idea to move it down first, but... And we're just going to keep doing this until we get a nice flight thing of stairs. So, let's see. That looks pretty even. So we'll do Control X again. Alright, make this as even as possible. Let's pull you out just a little bit more. And since we're making a haunted mansion, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then something else I can do here is actually take, 2 and actually go by 2s to possibly speed up the process just a little bit more here. Just kind of like that. And that looks looking pretty good. And I'm going to take this last piece here and actually drag this out a little bit so it kind of matches up with the start of that. And what we're going to want to do is actually make this a little bit taller somehow. So we're going to go back to building. I don't know why I wasn't in building already. So I'm going to try and find something that we can use almost like a railing in a way, but not exactly. So I want to get in the correct texture here. The concrete texture that we used is actually pretty decent, and I want to use something that's actually the same kind of width here. This actually would work pretty well. And you can hold down X and you can slide it up and down to see if it's at the right angle, which this actually currently is not. So what we're going to do is hold down X. We're going to have to turn angle snap off and actually rotate this until it is perfectly aligned, at least as best as we can. It's good if it's perfect. If not, we will live. So I'm going to actually change the color of this. I don't want it to, I kind of want to make it look more concrete than wood. So that's going to be kind of a challenge here. As you can see, it looks fairly like concrete. And as you can see, that's not perfectly straight, I don't think. But it's not going to matter too much in the end. Alright, we're going to add it to that side. And we can add railings if we want. The photo that I'm looking at does not have railings. But I actually think I do want to put some railings in here. Personally. So we're going to want to put something at the bottom here as well. Kind of like something like this. Just to... kind of give it that feel. So I'm going to turn align to surface off, so it will not do that. That way you have a good entrance to this. It looks nice. And yeah, so we got a little staircase going. I think, again, that I'm going to add myself, I'm going to add some railings to this. And to do that, we're going to have to think outside the box just a little bit, because you could go, theoretically, go here and use, like, you have these wooden railings. You can just align to surface like this. But we're not going to do that. I want more of, like, a stone railing, personally, and that doesn't even fit the way I want it anyways. So you can kind of think it out the way you want, but we're gonna go and stay into the columns here and see if we can't find anything that is gonna work for me here. So I'm gonna go through the textures here and see if I can't find anything correct, and we can actually go and find these wooden rails. I want something a lot thinner, of course. Something that is much thinner. As you can see, this is actually pretty good. If I make it like a stone color, see if it still looks like pretty wood. It looks wooden, but that's okay. So what we're gonna do is actually create a railing here. That's going to be the start, and what we're going to want to do now is actually create the railing that's going to go down the side of it here. See if I can't find anything a little bit thin, nice and thin here. I'm trying to find a thin piece here that will not look too thick and look more like a railing. It's a little bit tough. I think this is the thinnest we're going to find. Alright, so I'm going to take this. We're going to try and turn angle snap on and see how it snaps. It's not going to snap properly, so we'll just try and line it up with the piece under it. Alright. As you can see, that's going to kind of see what we're going for here. Alright, I don't know if they have a shorter piece. Yeah, they do, right here. That way we can actually go more in this direction. I want the bottom piece to go right there. And we're going to go back to this piece. We're going to do Control X. We're going to move it forward. And I want to make the end piece as well here. And we're going to lower this down. So you can see how that's turning out. Alright, and then I want to make a middle piece at the same time. Kind of like that. So you can definitely make a lot of different wooden structures in these. And once you're finished, it's a good idea to go ahead and Control X this thing and actually move it on over to the other side. As perfect as you can possibly get it. And then we got a nice little staircase going here. It's looking really good. But I feel like it could add a little bit more to it. But what we're going to be doing now is I'm actually going to make kind of a fence going the other direction, or going on the deck itself. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to duplicate this. I'm going to align to surface for right now. And we're actually going to turn angle snap on because I want it to be perfectly horizontal. And we're going to move you to the proper spots. Because we want this to line up with this as best as we can. There we go. And that will look quite nice as we travel this across here. and we will be creating our own, pretty much our own little custom fence here for the deck here. So now we want to copy this. I can just control that. That'll go good right there. Alright, so we're going to want to move this back in this direction. As you can see, we might have to pull that back a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and place these posts down first anyways. Just like that. And now we're going to take this and we're going to move it back into its proper spots. And we're going to adjust this to what we need. So we're going to do Control X here. Only thing is you can see that it does have quite the bit of fighting textures here, which sometimes you can't avoid, but sometimes you can, just depending on what textures you're using. Alright, so we're going to use this back here again. Alright, well, we need to fill up this spot as well. So a good thing that we could possibly do is actually use like a column to connect the two. And if I lower this down, it actually looks quite nice for the stairway. Alright, we're going to want to post more of these along the side, so in between each one as well. Here's one, there's another, and there's another. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and actually copy all these, and I'm going to paste them to the other side. We're going to also use these for the other side. So I'm going to do Control X. And we're just going to move this on down to where it lines up. I thought I got that last post, but I guess I didn't. Could have swore I did. Alright, now we'll use Control X. Oh, that's right. We're going to have to rotate it around. I'm dumb. That's alright. Alright, we'll line this up as perfect as we can get it. And we're on our way to where we want to be. Alright, that's just right on the end there. And there we're getting started here. On our way. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, since these don't touch the ground, we're going to copy these right here. So they do touch the ground. And one thing's for certain, when you're first starting out doing a lot of advanced building stuff, it's going to take time. You're going to have to spend time on this. So it's not going to be something that's quick. That is for sure. It's going to be a long and most likely pretty boring process. Alright, we're going to cover these up. Actually, first, I kind of wanted to add some designing to this a little bit more than what is presented to us. Just to give it more character. So just little details like this can come a long way as well. Alright, I'm going to copy these. Because I kind of want more of this texture at the bottom. And then we can actually copy this and move it to the other side. And it's perfectly symmetrical. There we go. So there's a lot of things that go into this, and we're going to... Let's see. What do we want to do next? There should be, like, main parts here that should go, like... right here. We're going to get started a little bit on the building itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the walls and figure out what wall we want to use first. Maybe like make a base with like some brick texture. Just a small base. Kind of, but I want to change the color of this to be more dark for a haunted mansion. Kind of like this. Just a little bit more like that. So, now that we got that, I think a good texture that we can use will actually be this wooden plank texture. Actually will work really nicely, and maybe going in here and making a very nice dark green. Very dark green. And we're going to put this across here just to get started. Now, something to note, there's a lot of like dormers and stuff that goes into this, so we want to keep that into account, that we're going to be doing that a lot. So, again, this is a lot of practice for me, and hopefully it turns out okay. So what we're going to be doing to get started is something that we can do is kind of make almost like an octagon. And I have no experience in this, but I think we can do it. So what we're going to be doing to create such thing is we're going to start off by turning down the grid size. I'm going to put one about halfway here. Just kind of like that. Same with the brick. And then I'm going to go actually to the column section here. Actually, scratch that. Actually, don't scratch that. We're going to keep those there for right now. And what I'm going to do is actually get some wooden textures here. And we're going to outline the angle here that we want on this. So I want you at the top. And since that will be covered up, that'll be okay. And I actually am going to go ahead and fill this up. You'll see what I'm actually going to do here in just a moment. For right now, we're just going to do it this way. And this is just a little bit time consuming, but it'll be worth it in the end. So we're creating pretty much our own custom wall at an angle. Because you're going to want sometimes to have kind of like your own custom textures. If there's something different there, because there's some textures you just got to do yourself. Alright, so we're going to take this and move it about right there. Alright, so I'm going to take all of these. And we're going to deselect the stuff we don't want to have selected. I just want those. I didn't select the things I wanted, though. So I guess we'll just go and individually select them. Alright, we're gonna have to do it this way. So we're just gonna go down here and select these, and we're pretty much gonna get it to the other side. And what we're going to do actually now is actually select this block as well. That way, it actually will stay, this is kind of what we want. You could actually do that as well. But since that is actually not going to line up properly, it might actually be a better idea just to select this. We're going to Control X and just rotate it the exact right way. I think we need one more. Yes, that's what we want. At the correct angle. And now we're going to do the same thing to the other side, pretty much. We just want to make sure this is symmetrical as possible. So it's going to come in kind of like that. Should be the exact same height. Don't worry about the battling textures at the moment. And we're just going to copy and paste this all the way down. And the wall that we're using right now, that's right there, is actually just a guide for us, because we're actually going to be doing this all the way around. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but what we're trying to accomplish hopefully will show sooner rather than later, but it takes patience when you're trying to do some advanced stuff, and a lot of experimenting to figure some stuff out. So I know there's probably a better way to copy the other side to this, but since I kind of failed on that, we're just going to do it, we're going to stick to currently the hard way. Alright, so we got the other side now. Now the thing we're going to do is I'm going to do this, Control D, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go off of this right here. I'm going to rotate that here, and we're going to cover up the front now. We want this to be nice and lined up with that. Like so. And now we can go ahead and copy this all the way down. And this will give us a nice wooden texture. Whoops, I pressed the wrong button. That's actually going to give us something that looks a little bit different. And since it's a haunted mansion, if you mess up just a little bit, it's not going to be a huge deal because it is haunted and it's going to be meant to look kind of unstable anyway, so. But this is just a way to get some like unique textures, and as you can see, we kind of got like this part that's actually going to be blowing or coming out like this. And now we're going to find a different texture to actually view this. This one's not too bad. I don't think we can change the color though. So we're going to try and see what options we have here. And it's always nice you can actually use different things that's not meant for what you're using them for as well. Like if I wanted to use that, I could. Alright, so we want to find something different. Aha! This actually match up pretty nicely. At least as best as we can. I want this to kind of come out just a little bit like this at the same time. So what we're going to do is actually select this, do Control X, and you can actually get the same thing by clicking on something else. And that way we have that where we want it. And I just gotta put it in the right spot. Alright, good. And now I'm going to go ahead and raise this one up to match that. Kind of like so. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Control X. And we're just going to select the thing that we actually want to use over here. And we just got to line it up with the bottom one, which is creating a gap still because it's not perfectly lined up. So we're going to actually raise these up so they're nice and perfect. I'm going to have corners on there, so it won't matter too much. Alright, so we got those, and if you want to get rid of a little bit of that extra rendering, we can actually delete the wall and stuff as well. So now that we have this, I kind of want to create a border around it on the edge pieces. So we're going to do that. And let's rotate these like so. That way they kind of match up. Put it right in the center. Push it in just a little bit. And then I want to make these kind of a, not that green, kind of a dark, eerie green. More like that. Alright, we're gonna copy and paste you over here. And we'll use the advanced move tool once again. And we're just gonna get it as perfect as we can. Or as close as we can. More than anything. And we're gonna come out just a little bit more. There we go. And there we go. It's looking quite nice, actually. I'm actually pretty pleased with this. So now we're gonna go to Windows and see what we can actually come up with here. We need something kind of squarish. This will actually work pretty well. And I'm going to hold down X, press X, because I want this to actually turn more into one large window like this. I'm going to move all these in just a moment to actually where I want them. And we can hold down X and just kind of center these or put them where we want. I'm actually going to use Control D as well. Maybe not. We're actually going to put them on this side as well. And that way we have our windows, so people can actually look outside. Alright, starting to look good. Now, something else I want to do is we gotta kind of work out a way of how we're gonna do a roof for this as well, which is actually another interesting thing. It's gonna be more, of course, kind of like a spire type thing, in a way. And we're probably gonna end up creating our own spire. Now, creating spires are probably pretty difficult, as you can imagine, but with the right tools, it can be done. At least creating your own custom spires can be kind of difficult, of course. Alright, let's try and go for a different texture here. We're going to use... Let's go ahead and use... I don't want to use anything too big. We'll try and use a different texture anyways, so this will actually be okay. Alright, so what we're going to be doing here, oh gosh, is not that. Alright, so we're going to hold down X. Alright, so that will work that way. So if we do this, in theory, we should be able to get it symmetrical like that. Yeah. At least pretty well. Pretty good. Alright. Now I kind of wanted to go through over here as well, so... Actually what we're going to do is create another one over here. We're actually going to go just right here. Actually, it would make more sense. If I was rotated the right way, yeah, it'd make a lot more sense. And, let's see. Turn off angle snap here. What we're going to do is actually get this nice and perfect. As best as we can, obviously. Where am I at? There we are. Let's hold X. Because we're going to... Well, we need to get that correct angle. You can test it by this. There's got to be an easier way to do this. There's got to be an easier way. I'm sure there is. I'm just not smart enough to figure it out. Alright, there we go. And we can actually copy this to the other side if we just do this. Which is not perfect. It's okay, I can actually do it this way as well, which isn't too bad. And we can just align it. Alright, about right there. And ta-da! Alright, so we kind of got a little bit of a skeleton. of what we're going to be doing here. And all we got to do now is pretty much put the pieces where they belong. So we're going to try and find a good texture here that we want to use. We've been using this one, so I kind of want to find something a little bit different. Alright, so there's this one, which is actually pretty thick. So, but I think it will actually work okay, possibly. There's not really any other option we can go with here. You can really use anything. But we got this small wooden pillar. But for the sake, we're actually gonna use this one because I think this is the best option, and we can actually just change the color, and maybe it will actually turn out okay. And we're gonna use that green. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually use angle snap here for once. I want you aligned, okay, or not. We're gonna align you there, and to test out to see how aligned you are, we're just gonna go across. Man, you're not even aligned this way. That's pretty sad. Alright, so what we're gonna actually do is just use this and recolor it. Perfect. And what we're gonna do pretty much is do something like this and work our way upwards. We are at a little bit of an angle, so we're gonna have to change it up quite a bit every so often. But try and make it as even as possible. And these are the long, boring processes that we have to go through. Unfortunately. But I hope it will all be worth it in the end. As you can see, it's actually looking quite nice. So we're going for kind of like the staggered kind of spire. It's not really a spire, but it pretty much is. Of course, the thing you're going to fight with is definitely some fighting textures. Which does kind of suck. Alright. So, whoops. We're trying to keep this aligned, and that's going to be... Oh gosh. That's going to be the tricky part. Alright, so we're going to... And I kind of like it when it's actually not perfect. It kind of gives it a more haunted mansion kind of feel to it anyways, so. Again, folks, this is going to take a little bit extra time because obviously it is what it is. Alright, so. I wish these didn't fight textures, but it looks like it's going to no matter what we do. But you can see kind of like the way it's turning out. This is going to be something that's going to take a while, so when you do build stuff very advanced like this, it does take up quite a bit of your time. Alright, we're gonna add a little bit here, a little bit here. And it does take a lot of experimenting when you do stuff like this. And this is like a first time thing for me trying to actually do some advanced work here. Because trust me, I know this is probably not the best way to do stuff. And I'll be the first to acknowledge that. And then after you get a little higher up, you're going to have to use the smaller pieces. As that is how it works. But this is me pretty much practicing some advanced building methods that I have seen before. And it's not exactly the way they're probably supposed to be built, but I am doing my darndest to try and get this as best as I can. So it's actually turning out, I think it's actually turning out pretty decently looking. For the first time actually trying this method and stuff. It's actually really cool. I love seeing you guys hopefully enjoy watching me experiment stuff for the first time. And I know this is a very long, boring process. It really is. And it's just something you do have to deal with if you want to get something more of a specific look to something. It gets very time consuming. And more like, oh gosh, this is taking forever. And that's when it's nice to have some time lapses available. Alright, so we're getting to the very nitty gritty up here to where we might actually have to switch pieces. Because it's actually getting too big here. And to do that, there's actually a piece. Hopefully we can find something that matches the texture here. I'm not entirely sure what it's under, because I am learning this stuff. So, roofs. I want to say it's under wall decorations. But you can actually use these that have actually similar textures themselves. So what we're going to do is get one. And this one, however, is not what we're looking for. We want to find something very small, kind of like this. We're going to turn angle snap on. I want the blue ring. There we go. Alright, we're going to actually, we need to rotate this horizontally. And then this is kind of like the smallest piece that you can figure out to use. Or figured to use, so. It's our last option. Whoops. Come on. Amateur, I know. Someone get that amateur out of here. Alright, so something kind of like this, I'd assume. Kind of looks a little sketchy at the top. But that's kind of like the basic idea, in a way, of what we're going for. Of course, you're going to have to do the other sides, which is going to be another pain because they're kind of different themselves. So it's going to be a little bit of a pain, but something that we could do that I've actually just thought of that might actually work is I'm going to go ahead and delete these, and if that doesn't work, of course I'm going to try and fix this. So I'm going to go ahead and try and select all this without selecting a crap ton of other stuff. So we got that selected, and we're going to select these down here. Alright, I don't want that selected. Alright, so we can go Control D and to create a spire, I mean a regular spire, you could actually do this and go all the way around. And that's something that we could do, but we're not here to do that. We're here to get this angle. So now that I think about it, we actually have to do this. Is our best option is going in here, selecting these. Don't select that, or the pole, and actually have to place this a little bit manually. Is kind of the best option here. If you just hold X, we can actually get a precise placement. And just as expected, that's what we're dealing with. So this, I might have to actually scratch this in a way. All right, we're gonna take angle snap off here for a moment. Okay, that's not what I wanted. All right, so I'm going to. I've never actually made anything like this, so this is actually quite interesting. So we're not going to be able to copy and paste it like that, unfortunately, and this is me learning how to do this stuff, and trying to do as less work as possible is kind of the goal here. And that's kind of like what we want to do, is try and do as less work as possible. So what we're going to have to do again. See, creating spires is just a little bit easier than creating this, like, octagonal kind of thing. It's not really an octagon, but, like, you know what I mean. It's a lot different. So I think I'm going to lead off that, and we're going to focus a little bit more on the details here for right now. So we're going to go edit building again. And go columns. And we're just going to add some details. So we're going to do Control X here, angle snap, and actually I don't want to do that. We actually want to do this. I'll actually do Control X and do this. And I kind of want it thinner, so we're going to rotate you like that. That way we kind of got a nice little outline here. Alright, we'll sink you in. Kind of like that. And that looks beautiful. And we kind of want another one over here. And we're going to drag it over here. And add it to this wall as well. And like that. They'll do the same thing to this over here. Just gotta push it in just a little bit more. Pull you this way. And there we go. Got a nice little outline. Kind of want to almost make a box for it, so we're gonna lower these down to right here as well. And yeah, it's actually starting to look quite nice and really good. I'm actually pretty proud of that. This is very time consuming again, and is if you want to do stuff like this, you're gonna have to literally just practice. And once you get the hang of it and kind of like know, yeah, that's the piece I need, and I want all this and stuff like that, then that's when you're kind of gonna be like a lot faster at this stuff. So this is why I'm trying to learn this stuff a little bit more, so I can kind of get a little bit more advanced at this. Now, as for these, it's looking quite nice. I don't know exactly what to add to the windows exactly, so we're gonna move on just slightly a bit. So I'm gonna actually head to scenery here, and I wanted to add. I was gonna do this earlier. Add some vines over here on kind of like the foundation wall here. That way it looks kind of like old and beat up here. And just kind of have them intertwined a little bit so they look a little bit unique. Alright, and then there's, of course, the actual door to the place. The front door is very important. And I've never really seen people actually make their own custom door for anything, but you never know. And we want to make sure we find the correct door for this mansion. This one's not too bad, but this one has steps. Let's see, I don't have a great picture of a door, but I would assume that it would be more of a double door more than anything. It's kind of like this almost. Alright, let's change the colors of this a little bit. I kind of like the colors it already has, actually. Kind of goes with it pretty well. Alright, so we have our front door to our what's going to be huge mansion. At least that's the hope. So it's going to be a pretty big, huge mansion. So we're going to actually climb these up a little bit higher. And we're going to use that to actually create some cool things. So we're going to take one of these actually, and I'm going to do a small grid size here. And we're actually going to have like this piece going over the top, kind of. And what we're going to use is a rough concrete piece. There it is. To kind of support this a little bit better. We're going to put one up here as well. And this is going to be kind of like a balcony on top, in a way. So we're going to use, I want to use some round pieces as well, so it kind of has that cool balcony look to it. Maybe scrap that round. On second thought, maybe not. Alright, so we're going to go back to here and make this a full on here. And that will work out for us in the end. We're actually, in the end, we're going to copy all this and put it on this side as well. That way it's a little symmetrical. Like I said, I want to kind of create kind of a symmetrical mansion more than anything. And, yeah, so we're going to need to build... I kind of want to build some small dormers or something kind of along those lines around here. So what we're going to be doing is creating like a basic shape. And maybe like make two right here. What we're going to be doing is kind of like making a basic shape, like I said. So we're going to need these tools here. So what we're going to So what we're going to do is actually take this and pretty much make the shape, make the shape that I kind of want here. Figure out how all this is going to play out. There we go. And I'm going to build this out. And we will do the same up here. And the same down here. So what we want to do is build like a window that's coming out. Probably should have changed the color of this, but I think I'm going to stick with the wood texture anyways. It'll be alright. And we'll just make this a different color. That's going to be on the inside here. And we're going to make this kind of like that very, very dark green. And then we can literally just copy and drag this out. So it almost looks like the texture behind it, and quite a bit of a way. And we can actually put a window on here of whatever we want. And this is me just spitballing, so I kind of want to have like a spire-y type kind of a spire-y kind of roof on this thing. Is the grid size down? Yes. Alright, so I'm going to grab this. I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, I need to rotate you more to the center. More than anything. And kind of like that. This is kind of like what I'm going for. And make this kind of the same. And nice and even. Possibly. We're gonna have to actually rotate you up just a little bit so I can get you in the right spot. Trying to be very precise with the placement here. Which still isn't lining up. So if I do Control X here and rotate you, this is harder than I thought, trying to figure this out. New method. Because we gotta have those guides there. Three, 2, 3. Alright, so what we're gonna do, so we're gonna kind of do the same thing. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. And this is how we're gonna play it out. No, I wanted to actually go X. We're gonna down a little bit and in. Down a little bit and in. There we go. And now watch as I attempt to make this happen. I'm gonna use a different color here. And something that we actually can do now that I think about it is we're gonna take this and we're gonna rotate it this way. Actually, I need to turn angle snap off. We're gonna rotate it to try and exactly get the angle here that we want. Which is gonna be a little bit tricky. More this way? That's not right. Alright, so we're just going to... No. That's not what I wanted. Just kind of like this. This will actually give it a pretty cool look anyways. So you're gonna drag you over here, and drag you over here, and drag you over here, and drag you over there. And as for you, we're gonna drag you over there and drag you over there. Alright, and then we're gonna go back to the top one here. There we go, we got something going. Ish. I don't know exactly what this is or looks like, but it doesn't look much like a dormer, but that's what we're kind of going for. And we need to find a window that actually fits in here. Kind of properly. So we can actually dig you in there just a little bit more. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge to get exactly what you want. I'll put that out there. It's funny how it selects everything behind it. Everything behind it. Selects these, it selected that. Selected this wall, I don't want that wall. And we can actually guess I should have done Control X. I think I did Control D. But that's okay. We can line her up. I didn't do this one, so we'll just do that. There we go. Of course, we didn't do the sides yet, so you probably shouldn't duplicate it that much. So this is a lot of good practice. Obviously, I have a lot to work on myself, and just getting this down a little bit better. And maybe I should try something just a little bit easier first before tackling like this kind of mansion type of design that I'm going for. And it's probably a good idea. So before tackling something a little bit as difficult as this is kind of something a little bit harder than expected. So but to create like spires and stuff, which I'm actually gonna try and see practice myself here. We're going to put this here, and a good way to practice is do that. So we're going to get this actually turn angle snap on. What I'm going to do is kind of practice a spire, kind of. And see, what you would initially do is Control D this, and it'll actually fit perfectly in there. And that's kind of like the basics, very, very basics of how this kind of works. But I guess I just need to watch more Silverette and figure out how he does everything a little bit, because I do want to try and work on my building skills and get into that next level of advancement. Because obviously when you build a regular building, the first thing you think of, okay, let me go ahead and put slap down a wall here, and let me just build the basic shape first. This is your basics right here. Like, this is very basic. And then get your roof on, which sometimes I'll even do like a flat roof first on top. And then, of course, you get your, in-game roofs, kind of like so. And boom, there's your shape. There's your shape. You throw some windows in there, along with a door, and boom, you got yourself a easy building. You can even add like some air wings or something like that, whether it's a pizza place or something like that. And you can even add like a air wing over the main door, kind of like that. And then for detailing, this is kind of like the philosophy I've always gone by, is how I do my stuff most of the time. And then for just a little extra detailing, this is like the very basics on how to do like this stuff. And you just keep adding different things until kind of like that. And you got yourself a slightly detailed building, and you can even go as far as adding a couple lights and stuff like that. And you got yourself a pretty decently detailed building. Of course, you can also add chimneys as well, which is always a good idea. Always turn a line to surface off is what I do. And boom. It's usually as simple as that when you're trying to create a basic building. But when you're trying to create something very advanced, with some new textures and just completely different stuff. It's a completely different world of experiment and stuff like that. So it really is, and sometimes I'll do something similar like this to kind of give it like kind of like some footers and to get rid of those kind of like unfinished looking kind of details. And you got yourself a basic building, and that's all fun and dandy, but if you ever want to get completely good at stuff, you'll be able to create like different things like this, and it gets difficult throughout time. It really does get difficult when trying to build this kind of stuff. So anyways, it's a good idea to check out a lot of Silvergate has some tutorial videos which actually are very helpful, and he has one where he creates a tower and actually shows you how to create a custom kind of spire, and also kind of like different things as well. I guess the first thing I can do is actually start using the duplicate tool, but you can do that. And of course there's already in-game spires, but you can go beyond the in-game spire kind of by creating your own. And he goes into a lot of detail on how to do that. So I know the first thing he does is actually puts a beam on the inside at the very top here, and then he'll actually, I don't exactly remember how he does it. It's very interesting on how he does it, but he creates pretty much the shape, the outline, and then he fills it in, and then he can actually copy and paste it to the rest of the sides and stuff like that. It's very interesting and very cool. So building stuff is always the hardest thing to do, because it's a very important thing, and right now I'm at the state where I'm in it kind of more advanced into the basic buildings. I'm doing advanced stuff on the basic stuff rather than doing advanced stuff completely. And you can really go into further, start off. A good way to start off is, I find, like, let's see, if you're, for example, using, say, like, just a regular stuff, you can start off by adding just tiny details. It can really get you started and stuff like that. So you can actually do this. You'd probably mostly do this on like a wooden texture, but for example, if you wanted to add just a little bit more to your roofs, you can actually add like a lot of different just whatever kind of style you're going for. Oh gosh, didn't want to do that. When I accidentally press the wrong things, it doesn't want to work out. And a good way to start, like if you want to get like a texture going, you can also use the in-game, kind of what I was going at, use the in-game stuff. So like if I want to use this roof and make it more of a wooden roof, you can actually use the in-game pieces and actually create a wooden roof by, gosh darn it, not my point, by going in here and actually covering it up with like some wooden textures or stuff like that. Like if I wanted a wooden roof, I can go in here and do something along the lines as like this. This is the very basic, advanced kind of, in my opinion, when you want to create something different, is actually creating roofs kind of like this, and then to save some time, you can actually go and kind of like so. And if you actually select like a wall piece or something, it'll actually stay on the grid. And you can just place it down like that. And if it paranoids you, you can delete the other one too. And as you can see, we have both sides kind of done. Of course, I didn't align it properly exactly. But you can do stuff like that. And even just that stuff is getting more into the advanced method of building buildings. And then you can go beyond that, like I showed just a moment ago, by like coming in and placing some of these. You know, they're a little bit on the outside, kind of like this. Just place them in random spots. And I think this is a really neat thing to do to kind of get a little bit more of a cool wooden texture. And you can kind of just place it around everywhere, kind of like so. As many as you want until you're kind of satisfied with how it looks. And you got yourself a pretty nice custom kind of roof in a way. And you can actually, once you're done with one side, you can literally use it over and over again and actually copy and paste it by doing the exact same thing, kind of like that. And that's just the very basics of starting to get an advanced. And kind of the way I want to start going into the direction, or in my direction, is kind of do stuff like that. I may have gotten a little ahead of myself here, trying to create something ridiculously big here, and that's my fault, and I got a little bit ahead of myself, but I'm going to try and start practicing a little bit of the smaller advanced stuff, and then as I move along, try and maybe get into more advanced stuff down the line. So I think this is a great start for me, and I hope you guys can maybe learn a thing or two as well as you go down the line. And it's quite neat. So you can also we can also see if we can you want to make some trims here as well. At least to about right there. See if that will actually work. Yeah, it does. Pretty neat that you can actually do that. In that way. So, yeah. I can put it on the outside there. And then, of course, I can do the same thing for the other side. And there we go. We got a little bit of a trim, and you can continue on, and you got yourself your own thing as well. So, anyways, that's just kind of like a small advanced method to use for like different textures. Is like use the existing pieces and just like place the other textures on top of that, and use this as a guide. And if you want to completely delete it in the end, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Or if you want to leave the thing there, you actually can. But after you get your pieces down, you can literally delete it, and you have yourself a perfect, nice little thing that you can use. So that's kind of the way to get started. If you want to use explore some new textures and stuff like that, that's kind of like what I would recommend at this point, now that I think about it, more than, kind of like getting into this stuff. This stuff is the very, very advanced stuff that obviously that I'm not even ready for. So I'm going to take smaller steps and do this. I'm going to probably start implementing this into Westwood a little bit, and I think it will actually work out quite nicely for especially with the wooden textures, with like the ghost town, I think I'm going to be able to create some really cool buildings and stuff that will actually work very, very nicely, and I can't wait to get into it. So anyways, I think that's about all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm going to try and start doing some more advanced methods myself, and hopefully you find this video just a little bit useful of how you can use different pieces for each thing. And it's quite interesting, and there's a lot that you can do with what you have, more than what you think you can do, which is fairly surprising. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Make sure you have a great day and an even cooler tomorrow. Thank you guys again, and goodbye.